All right, welcome to Calculus 1, and we're going to do differentiation rules. We'll wait a bit. You guys did really well on the exam. The average was really good. All right, let's wait a couple more minutes. While I'm munching on them good chips. Okay. So, the first one is the constant rule. Constant rule. Derivative of any constant is going to be 0. Example, 4 pi e squared. What's the derivative of that? It will be 0 because pi is a constant. E is also constant. It's going to be 0. And then another basic rule, basic power rule. If f of x is x to the n, then f prime of x equal n times x to the n minus 1. Should I give you a pop quiz? I'll think about that. That sounds very basic. Here's the reason. Let's look at it. If f of x equal 3x to the 4th, f prime would be 12x to the 3rd. What about f of x equal 3/2 x to the 6 minus x plus 3? All right, try that. What's the f prime of that? All right. So the derivative of that would be 3/2 times 6 x to the 6 minus 1 minus x plus 0 9x to the 5 minus x to the 0 plus 1. And x to the 0 is what, guys? 1. All right, let's try some of these problems. This one is 4th root. We're gonna get the hard stuff next class. We're gonna have a pop quiz next class. For this problem, how about if I rewrite the problem like that? And this. Try to find f prime right now. So let's use that rule. This would be 1/4 x to the negative 3/4. Or you could rewrite it as like that. This would be 2 times negative 3 x to the negative 3 minus 1. This would be negative 6 over x to the. Easy so far? All right. All right. Let's look at velocity question. This is a position function. The derivative of position is velocity in respect to time. That's the velocity. Double derivative or derivative of velocity is the acceleration, which is always constant in gravitational pull. We call it acceleration. And then if you look at the third derivative, which is second derivative of velocity, which is the derivative of acceleration, we call it jerk. That's a jerk stop. Because acceleration is constant and derivative constant, it just disappears. We'll come back to that. Let's try another hard problem for you guys. What's the derivative of that? All right, I think I'm gonna do a quiz now. Have your email open up. We're gonna have our first quiz. Oh, we already did a quiz. Let's do. Quiz. Make it 1. Alrighty then, I'll save that. All right, we're gonna do a pop quiz. So this is what you guys are gonna do. You're gonna email me with your name on it to my school email, and let me type in my school email. Once you email me with your answer, I don't care about your right or wrong, any one of those answer or work. I care about your exact answer. Once you email me your answer, then just type in your name and text me over here, like over here. Then I could go check the email. I'll wait a bit. Once you have your email address opened up, all right, we're going to have the pop quiz in a moment. Not yet. Let's do the derivative of that. Let me rewrite the problem as this way. Now, the derivative of that would be and 0. So if I simplify that, plus 5 over 2 x to the 3/2, and that would be the derivative of it. All right, kids, let's do a pop quiz. All right. Do not type in the answer in the chat. If you do, you will get 0 automatically. All right, the quiz is this. I'm going to give you a function and tell me what's the derivative of that. Tell me the derivative of that. Not tell me. Once you have it, email me the answer. Go, kids. I'll give you 30 seconds and then start emailing. Yep, this is 1. Oh, that's also 1. 3001. Matthew Collins, I don't see your name on the pop quiz. Peyton Collins. Okay. Got one person going in. Angel. Two persons submitted the quiz so far. All right, 15 seconds. And after this, I'm not gonna accept your quiz for an answer. Ouch. Close. Oh. I'm closing the quiz. Right about now. Okay. All right. The quiz is closed. Let's look at the answer. As in x to the 1 plus x to the negative 1 plus. So f prime would be 1 times x to the 1 minus 1. Negative 1 x to the negative 2. I'm sorry. Minus 1 plus 0. This becomes what? 1 minus 1 over x squared. Alrighty then. All right, now derivative of trig functions. They're pretty simple and easy. Y equals sine of x. Y prime would be cosine of x. Y equal cosine of x. Y prime would be negative sine of x. And we're going to see later on why the answer is like this. I don't understand. I have like 7, 8 of you guys. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you attempted the quiz. I don't know what happened. All right. So I might throw these type of pop quiz more and more as the semester progresses. We learn later on why the derivative of cosine is negative. You could see it in fact in calculus 2 why it would be like that. What else? Sine, cosine. Let me see. Tangent. No, we're not going to do that because these two they're going to help you find it's going to help you find all this other stuff like quotient rule and all that, and we're not studying the quotient rule. So example, f of theta equals 5 sine of theta plus theta square 1 over theta square. What is the derivative of that? 5 cosine of theta plus 2 times theta. Ooh, this is going to be tricky. What I'm going to do is, this symbol means derivative, and I'll do that separately right now. Cosine of theta plus 2 theta plus negative 2 theta cube. So if I simplify it, 2 theta minus 2 theta cube. Any question? So let's do a word problem. At time t equals 0, a diver jumps from a diving platform that is 32 feet above the water. Well, see the measuring system we're using, and then have you guys seen the Perseverance landing on Mars? That thing really annoyed me because they're talking about kilometers, meters, centimeters, and all that, and it was throwing me off. I'm not used to understanding kilometers. I mean, this is America, and why do we have to use metric system? We're sending it. The world should learn from us. So that's my problem with NASA. All right. Funny thing is, the military, when we bomb other countries too, they don't use miles; they use kilometers. All the Air Force, they use metric system. All right. Let's see the problem. The position of the diver is given by S of t equals negative 16t squared plus 16t plus 32. I want you to notice this one right over here. That's the 32 feet above the water. That's the initial position, where S is measured in feet and T is measured in seconds. The question is, actually, you're right. Metric makes more sense, especially if you want to go from distance to, let's say, weight to liquid or any type of thing. It makes sense. 1 kilograms of water fits in, 1 liter of water. So the way it's this French Revolution, how they came up with it is amazing. How they came up with that. Also, the way they came up with the 1 meter, it has to do with the proportional distance from the, I believe, equator to the North Pole. And it's very beautiful. It's very sensible. So in America, I know there's only one location where they use metric system instead of miles. They use kilometers. It's in one of the city in Arizona. So it started off Jimmy Carter, and what happened was we were in process of converting everything into metric system. It was going to happen after with Jimmy Carter, but then Ronald Reagan got elected, and we stopped using the metric system. So when I travel the world, or whenever you travel the world, oh my Lord, I don't understand those. It takes me a long time to understand kilometers to miles. I'm so used to 2 miles, 3 miles versus kilometers. It's such a frustrating, or even Fahrenheit, Celsius. In fact, we shouldn't even use that. We should use Kelvin. That makes more sense. Because there's no absolute zero. We could get very close to zero, and it helps us understand what's going on. Alrighty then, let's do that. When does the diver hit the water? What is the diver's velocity at impact? So let's look at it. For the first part, when does the diver hit water? So that means the position is going to be 0. And solve for t. That's what we want to find the time. And this seems pretty easy. 16t squared plus 16t plus 32 equals 0 is a quadratic formula and simplifies to -1 or 2. So today I was watching this TikTok video of a Michio Kaku physicist, and he was talking about time travel. And interesting is the answer, obviously, we're going to pick T to be 2 because we cannot say time cannot be negative. It has to do with Isaac Newton thought that time is kind of like straight arrow where you throw it and it goes straight. Um, so it's kind of like, and then Einstein comes in and it says that no, it's relative to it. So think of this like kind of body of water river, and if it goes uphill, downhill, how it stretches it, and then how it could split over, and that's when the time traveling can happen. And Einstein's equation showed that there is a possibility for time traveling in the back, but that's the interesting part because it has to do with um the equation is there, but how do you time travel? Like for example, they talk about time traveling in the past of Earth, right? Well, let's say you want to travel 1,000 years ago and you want to land on US, on let's say LA. Can you land on the same spot? No. Here's the reason why. Not only here's the sun, and here's here's the Earth, right? Uh, if you look at it in 2 dimension, and we see that solar system moves kind of like this. That's the 2 dimensional way of thinking. But do you know that our solar system moves across the Milky Way galaxy? So think, instead of looking at a 2 dimensional, think of this as the sun moving this direction. So as the sun is moving that direction, you have the Earth moving kind of like this. So now, if we want to travel back in time 2,000 years ago, you have to move all these movement back by 2,000 years. So you're talking about moving the universe and galaxy. That is something in physics is impossible to do. So, so we'll see what happens in the future, but we're talking about much later in time. So anyway, so we cannot time traveling back, so our time is going to be 2. So the question B comes in. What happens when t equals 2? Impact time. S prime of t equals, that's the velocity, negative 32 t plus 16. And we already have the time right over here. V of 2 equals negative 48 feet per second. So that's the speed. So it's going downward. So velocity in those type of things, you can see positive or negative velocity. Since it's going downward, we have a negative velocity, and it hits the water at negative 48 feet per second. All right. Next, we're gonna look at other differentiation rule, product rule, and quotient rule. Those can be a little bit hard. Before I do that, I want to do that. I want to spend one lecture for that, and then we move into chain rule. Chain rule is the hard part. All right, ask me a question. I'm here online. Speaking of good news, Fry's closed down. I was happy Fry's closed down. They're one of the worst group of people out there. All right, I will still be here on the live chat. Ask me your questions. I've updated the homework. Okay, I don't see any questions from you guys. All right. Let me see. I'll hang out for a little bit longer. All righty then. I don't see any question. I'm gonna end it. I will still be by my computer. Check if nobody had any question about the exam. Um, did you have any issue with the exam? Central then why is it out of 31? The score is out of 31, but the exam is worth 100%, and it's worth whatever I said it's on the syllabus. So if I look at the syllabus, the exam would be worth. Good question you asked. Let's look at the syllabus. The exam is worth a 10%. So if you go back to look at your final grade on end of the semester, how is the grade weighted, you will see that. Maybe I didn't change the weight. Could that be the issue? Ah, okay. I see. Good catch. I'll fix it right now. There you go. Score has been fixed and it will show up. Good catch. The exam is again out of 31, but it's 10% of your grade. Yeah, I'm looking at it. It looks like I fixed it. Any other question or questions? No question? No more questions?